could sing that song every week. Again, good morning. Welcome to the bridge. At the bridge, we believe in joy. Jesus, others, yourself. We believe that we believe that Jesus is the Son of God, and that through Him we can be saved. We believe in the salvation that comes through the death and resurrection of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and by Him we become free. Free, not meaning we can do what we want. We're free to honor and worship God in the way He desires. And that would mean that we would love other people, that we would engage with others in discipleship and in the teaching, the mentoring, and being a mentee of someone who wants to invest in our life. And we train one another up. We help one another. We are there for one another. And we also believe in calling, that Jesus is a calling God, and He has purpose for each and every one of us. And He wants you to experience your call, whether it's a temporary thing or a permanent thing or just a momentary thing. You can hear from our Lord, and He will speak, and He will show you something you need to do. We're going to talk a little bit about that this morning. We talk about that thing called joy, and we get to the part where God will call you. And sometimes God does speak to us, and He will speak to us in such a way that He wants us to do something or say something or be something that we're currently not. And we find all kinds of reasons to say no. We are very good at quickly finding out what the shortcomings are for the things that God would have us to do. We have a lot of shortcomings, not all of which are important to the call that God may be laying on your life. But we do have shortcomings. We are people. We are human. And not any two people in this room are the same. And not any two people are exactly as good at the thing that they're trying to do as the other. And not two people in this room are identical in their capabilities completely. We all have. Some are better at some things than others. And we accept that. We accept that. However, there will be an arm wrestling match after we're done this evening. But God will call us at times, and I believe in this time when God taps us on the shoulder and says, hey, I want you to do this. Whether that's feed a homeless person or whether that's called into ministry, whatever the calling might be, God does tap us on the shoulder and say, hey, I need you right now. I need you right now. This is an opportunity you have to do something right now. Well, there's a phrase that I want us to look at this morning, or there's as we contemplate our own lives, as we contemplate what we have been called to do, or the times when maybe we see that Jesus was tapping us on the shoulder and we didn't listen, or the times that He tapped on our shoulder and we did. However it seems, or however you remember it, it seems like there are times when he's tapped and said, I need you right now, and you said no, because of our shortcomings. And so we say something like this. We say, I would, if we can put that slide up, I would blank, but I'm too blank. I would go into the ministry, but I'm too far in debt. I would help that homeless person, but I'm too scared. I would blank, but I'm too blank. Fill it in. Take some time and think about times when maybe God has tapped you on the shoulder and said, I need you right now. And you said, I would, but I'm too whatever. It happens. It happens often. Even in the Bible, it happens often. It happens many times when God taps people on the shoulder in the Bible and says, I need you to do this, and there's hesitation. There's excuses. There's justification for why people can't. There's questions. I can think of people like Gideon, like Zechariah, like Mary, not so much. Mary was kind of like, hey, whatever you say, God, I'm good. There are people in the Bible that this happens to, probably more famously, and what we're going to talk about today is Moses. See, there's this saying around Christian circles, one of those Facebook sayings, comes across, people think it's scripture, but it's actually not. It says, God doesn't call the equipped, He equips the called. And I believe that. I do believe that. I don't think God's going to call us to something that He's not going to provide for. I think that might be a little bit different. If God calls you to it, He's making a way for you to get through it, to do it, to obey. He's got a purpose in what He's calling you to do, and He's going to equip you appropriately. But we see that hesitation in these biblical characters. We see Moses. Moses was a fortunate son. He was put in a basket and saved from the slaughtering swords of the Egyptian soldiers who were sent to kill all the young males. He got put in a basket, sent on the river, and lo and behold, the Pharaoh's daughter finds him, keeps him, protects him, raises him up. But we know that he stubs his toe. He knows he's an Israelite. He knows he's part of the Hebrew tribe. And so he defends a Hebrew, he kills an Egyptian, and he knows that he's found out, and so he runs and he flees and he starts anew off in a land called Midian. And while he's out there, he raises a family, he's married, he does all these normal things. And he spends a whole lot of time doing normal things, and then one day he sees a burning bush. And he looks at that bush and says, wow, that's a different kind of fire. It's not like burning up. I mean, it's burning bright. A bush would be consumed in the matter of a few minutes in that kind of a fire, but it just keeps burning. I gotta go check this out. So he goes and checks it out, and he encounters God, and God says, hey, I have a job for you. I have a job for you. Moses isn't too sure about this job. And he starts in with his phraseology of, I would, but. If you would stand with me, we're going to read little bits and pieces of this as we go along. In Exodus chapter 4, he's been asked, he's confronting God at the burning bush. He's taking his sandals off because he's standing on holy ground. He's in the presence of God. He's been told that he's going to go and liberate his brethren, his brothers and sisters from Egypt. He says, Exodus chapter 4, beginning at verse 1 says, Then Moses answered, But behold, they will not believe me, or listen to my voice, for they will say, The Lord did not appear to you. The Lord said to him, What is that in your hand? He said, Staff. This is the word of the Lord. You may be seated. What is the first thing, the first excuse that Moses comes up with? I would, but they won't listen to me. His immediate thoughts were not about the job, not about the task, not about the insurmountable wall that God's asking him to climb. The first thought that Moses has, and we're probably very much guilty of this at many times in our life, the very first thought he has is, what will they think? What will they say? Well, who's they? The people he's trying to liberate. The people who would benefit from him taking on this task. The first thought he has is, they're not going to believe this. They're not going to believe me. They haven't seen me. They think I'm a traitor because I grew up in the palace. They're not going to listen to me. What will they think? Now, in the vein of God equipping the called, you see, here's where it gets fun for us. And here's where we need to really take a step back and look at things, because how many times have we had the thought, God, I could do this if I only was more extroverted, or better looking, or thinner, or more engaging, or not so scared, or whatever. We look at ourselves, we do this self-examination and say, I could, but I see the flaws in myself. I see my shortcomings, and because of my shortcomings, I don't think I can do what God might ask me to do. I'm not rich enough. I don't have the right look. I don't have the right demeanor. I don't have whatever it might be. We come up with all kinds of shortcomings and excuses for why we can't. But there are some pretty distinct times in our life where God is tapping us on the shoulder and says, I want you to do this. And then we begin in what will they think? But what about this? What about that? We begin the whole question process. And Moses is questioning, what are they going to say? They're not going to believe him. So what does God do? He equips the call. And so he magically gives Moses everything he would need to do the job. No. There's a great question that God asks Moses. A fantastic question that God asks Moses. He says, what is that in your hand? What is that you already have? It's just a staff. I'm going to use that. When you picture Moses in your mind, do you picture him with a shepherd's staff? Yes, because he holds it out over the Red Sea. He uses it to hit the rock. He uses it in all kinds of ways. God says, I'm going to take what you have and use that. Oh, what a game changer. Moses is sitting there crying and wringing his hands and saying, but I don't have this, and I don't have that, and I don't do this, and I'm not this, and woe is me. And looking at his own shortcomings and looking at all the ways in which he falls short. And we do the same thing when God the whole time is looking at us and saying, what do you have? Stop looking at what you don't have and start looking at what you do. What's in your hand? What's in your hand? I can use that. What you do have, what God is telling Moses and what God is telling us is what you do have, I can use. You may already have everything you need to do what God wants you to do, and He's just going to use what you already have to do it. He's going to get behind you because of who you are and what you already have. We don't need to be anything different. We don't need to have the gaps filled in what we think is a hole-filled life. We are who we are, and God's calling us to do things because of who we are. A lot of times we look for a better equipping, and we've already got everything we need. He can use what we have. God can use what we have. Moses says, okay, so I can throw the staff down and I can make the snake down. And I can put my hand, which I already have a hand, I can put my hand in my shirt and pull it out and it'll be leprous, and I can put it back and it'll be clean. And I can take water and I can dump it on the ground and it'll turn to blood. Those are three things that God gave you right there at the moment. It said, use what you have. And you can have these things. Guess what? They're parlor tricks. Every one of those, when he gets to Egypt, every one of those, there are magicians there who can do the same thing. They're just parlor tricks. It wasn't so much that he would have those to be able to prove that this was God who was sending him. It was enough to kind of push Moses to say, okay, maybe I can do this. Maybe I should go. But he was not convinced. He was not convinced. When you get down to verse 12. Verse 12 says, Verse 12 says, now therefore go, and I will be with your mouth, and teach you what you shall speak. But he said, oh my Lord, please send someone else. Because Moses said, I don't talk to you good. I could never preach. I could never get up there. I could never talk in front of people. I don't think I could do it. God says, okay, I will teach you what you shall speak. He didn't. He used to think, how many times we've been on our knees praying, God, it will just make me more motivated. God, if you will just give me some more discipline. God, if you will just give me some self-control. And we expect Shazam. We expect lightning. We expect drama. We expect smoke and fire and things to happen immediately. I can't talk. What does God say? I will teach you. It's not going to happen tomorrow. But if you follow me, the equipping's going to happen. If you chase after me, if you say yes to me, you won't have to worry about it. It's going to happen. I will teach you. There's no supernatural transformation in a moment. Could it happen? Sure, he can do that. He owns Moses' tongue. But we don't often have the patience to be taught. We don't often have the foresight to say, I'm not like this now, but someday I might be. God can change and transform me, and it might not happen tomorrow, and it might take years. It might take a period of time, but you know what? If God's telling me to do this, I have to do it. We too often believe that time is not on our side. It doesn't matter if time is on our side or not, as long as God is. If God is on our side, He'll work the time out. God is on our side. Moses persists. Someone else could do this better than me. It's funny, as a pastor, you have these interactions from time to time, and you say, hey, I'd really like to see if you're interested in working with the teams. I've always kind of wanted to, but you know who would be really good at that? And I'll get 3 or 4 names then. You know, the whole deflection thing. Wouldn't somebody else be better at this than me? God, just send somebody else. Just realize that what you're saying when you say, God, send somebody else, is saying, I don't want to. That's what you're telling God. And you can ask my daughters that if I said, go clean the bathroom, and they responded, I don't want to, that I'm not just going to say, sorry, Mom. But God says, okay, here's what I'll do. And this hit me right before service, as I was running through things. This hit me. Because God says things early on that carry on through the entire Bible. And I know that it's a different context, please don't get me wrong. He's talking about a brother here. He's talking about a companion with Adam, but he said it's not good for man to be alone. He said, guess what? Help is on the way. I'll let you bring your brother. Your brother can't speak. Your brother is a leader. He's used to talking in front of people, so guess what? I'm going to send your brother. I'm going to send Aaron with you. Reluctantly. All of Moses' excuses are taken away. All of his shortcomings he's reviewed, and he has no answer for. He's got 3 signs that he can show people that says God is with him. And he's got accountability and a partner to go along with him. God is already, in the matter of conversation, taking away all of his excuses and giving him someone to lean on through the process. All right. Fine. I'll do it. God helps us more often by not changing us in the blink of an eye and not giving us a thing that we're desiring or filling us in with an attribute that we don't currently have in a moment's notice. He may give it to us over time. But God helps us not by changing us, but by sending people to us that help to shape, encourage, and work with us. And too often, we push those people away. We need people to come alongside of us and to help us and to encourage us. Sometimes we push away, sometimes we embrace them. And we need to embrace those people, and sometimes those people come to us in a form that we don't necessarily anticipate. They don't look like the person we think is going to be able to help us or share with us or impart wisdom into our life. They come from a different background. They don't look like us. They look different, and that's okay. But God's going to send somebody to help us. We really do need each other. Sometimes the tap on your shoulder says God, and God's whispering in your ear says, I need you to go help so-and-so. They don't need me. They know what they're doing. I don't need to do that. They don't need my help. Maybe they need your help more than they know. Maybe you have that attribute that they don't, that they really need you to pour into their life. Maybe you have what God needs you to share with someone else. Maybe we're not Moses, maybe we're Aaron. That's okay. That's perfectly okay. Because in this story, I'm one of the grumbling Israelites. I'm one of the whiners and complainers, more than likely. So what happens? Aaron and Moses go. They are tasked with this huge task of freeing the Israelites. This is going to go fast and furious. Stay with me. If you want to write these down, you can check them out later. Here's what happens. They go and they have an initial meeting, and they initially meet with the leaders, the elders of the Israelites, and they say, okay, here's what's going to happen. We're going to all go free. It's just going to take a little time, so bear with us. So what do? The initial meeting is Moses and Aaron. Moses and Aaron show up for the initial meeting. They have the initial meeting, and they say, okay, let's go. And they're all like, yeah, let's get out of here, let's go. Time is not always on our side. And they thought this was going to be quick and easy. Another sermon, another day. They go and they meet Pharaoh. Moses and Aaron go and they meet Pharaoh. Moses tells Aaron what to say. Aaron speaks. They establish this relationship, this triangular relationship, Moses, Aaron, and Pharaoh. They get told, make all the bricks, no straw. Ah, curse! The elders are all turning on them and saying, oh, you guys are going to kill us. This is not going to work. I don't know what's going on. They persist. Thank goodness Moses and Aaron persist. First plague. Reference for that is in Exodus chapter 5, verse 1. The first plague. Who shows up to confront Pharaoh? Moses and Aaron. That's chapter 7, verse 20. Moses and Aaron show up to talk to Pharaoh. Second plague happens. Pharaoh says, no, harden my heart. You're not going anywhere. Second plague. Chapter 8, verse 5. Moses and Aaron show up. Moses and Aaron come to confront Pharaoh and say, let my people go. It's not going to happen. Another plague. Third plague happens. Who shows up? Moses and Aaron. Moses and Aaron show up. Talk to Pharaoh. Let my people go. No, not going to do it. Fourth plague happens. Who shows up? Just Moses. I can't find where Aaron's in there on the fourth plague. Maybe he's there, and it's just not written that he's there, but it just says Moses. Fifth plague happens. Who shows up? Just Moses. Sixth plague happens. Who shows up? Moses and Aaron. And the interesting thing is when the plagues happen and Pharaoh says, we got to relent, we're gonna give in, who does he call back? Every time he calls back Moses and Aaron, because they established that at the beginning. Moses and Aaron always come back to take the plague away. But now in some of these plagues, sixth plague, Moses and Aaron show up. That's chapter 9, verse 8. Seventh plague, just Moses. Eighth plague, that's chapter 9, verse 13. Eighth plague, chapter 10, verse 3. Moses and Aaron. Ninth plague, chapter 10, verse 21. Just Moses. And Pharaoh doesn't even call Aaron to come back. The 10th plague, there is no meeting. The 9th plague, they said, don't show your face here again or you will surely die. They said, you got it. We're not coming back. 10th plague, there's no meeting until he lets them go. In chapter 12, verse 31, Moses and Aaron are there to have the tribe of Israel let go. God equips the call. We may not like the equipping process. But what you see happening through the plagues is what happens in our life if we will simply submit and say, God can teach me. God can use what I have, and He can use me in a situation. He can teach me. And so in a step of faith, I'm going to go out and do what God calls me to do. And if we go out and do what God calls us to do, He's going to teach us a lot of things, and a lot of it is not going to go well. Learning is a hard process. And as soon as, Moses shows up and says, hey, we're getting out of here. And what happens? Failure. Make all the bricks, you get no straw, everybody turns on him. He's like the most wanted man in all of Israel. You remember, some of you will, the journey is worth it. Moses' journey was worth it. When you get to Exodus chapter 13, after they've gone, right before they go on, and they're having the feast of the unleavened bread. And the man who stood before God and said, I would, but I'm too horrible at speaking. I would, but I can't talk. I would, but my tongue won't let me. This is what happens in chapter 13, verse 3. Then Moses said to the people, God sent Aaron to be his mouthpiece. God sent Aaron to do the talking for him. God still upheld his promise of saying, I will teach you. Then Moses said to the people, God did what God said he would do, even though Moses was resisting every step of the way. Just because Moses finally said, yes, I'll do it. And when you say yes to God, he's going to do exactly what he said he's going to do. Then Moses said to the people, remember this day in which you came out of Egypt, out of the house of slavery, for by a strong hand the Lord brought you out from this place. When we say yes to God, when we feel inadequate to do what he's called us to do, when we say yes and we go through it, and we come out the other side, and we say, God, I see how you done it. I see how you did it. I see how you made me a preacher. I see how when I said yes, and I didn't know how it was all going to happen. I don't know how it was all going to end out, but I see it now. I see it, God. You never left me. You never forsook me. You did exactly what you said you would do. There's no better yes than telling God yes. There is no better yes than telling God yes. He will do it. God taught Moses to speak. He didn't need Aaron anymore. Aaron came along for the ride. Aaron wasn't always the best companion to have around. There were a few issues. So what are the hindrances? I would blank, but I'm too blank. I would blank, but I can't blank. I would blank, but they will say blank. What are you going to fill the blanks in for? What are the things that we started the year off? This is the year of yes. That was the sermon, the first sermon of the year was, what are we going to say yes to? What are we going to look at God and say yes to? What is he going to call us to? And what are we going to say, okay, I'll do it. And I've heard some stories of yeses this year. There's yeses that have happened this year. Let's look at our worship team. Trying to follow you. There's some yeses up here. It's great. It's great to have people say yes. Even in small things, in little things, in things that they think, that we might think are insignificant or small, might end up being some really big things. But are we mindful of what God is tapping us on the shoulder and asking us to do? And are we willing to say yes when he asks? Or are we going through the list of I would, but? I would, God, but. I want to, God, but. I just don't see it, God. I can't. I think God gives us stories like this. We don't have heroes that we follow in the Bible that are flawless and do everything perfectly and everything right. They're sterling silver examples of the Christians that we should be. He uses people just like you and me. People who maybe have their own shortcomings, but when they say yes to God, beautiful things happen. It's the year yes. What are we going to say yes to? And I guess today the question is, what are you still saying no to? What's that thing that you know God has asked, but you just haven't said yes to yet? What are you still saying no to? Maybe more appropriately, what are you still saying I don't want to? Let's ponder these things. Think about these things, and we're going to partake in the Lord's Supper today. That's going to be our response. Then you know what? No matter how many times you said no, no matter how many shortcomings you think you have, no matter how often you have taken a look at yourself and said, I don't know what they're going to say if I say that I want to do this. It doesn't matter where you are and all of that, you're still welcome at His table. He wants you to take part in His table. He loves you. And just like Moses, He wants to take what you have and use it for His glory. He wants to take what you have and use it for His glory. We don't have to lead a tribe of people out of a foreign land. We might just need to reach a neighbor. We might just need to feed some people. There's no telling what God has tapped you on the shoulder to do. But I guarantee you, when we say yes to it, He'll be there. Through it all. I'm going to ask our servers to come forward.